This is Right on the Money with Tom Mosley, founder of Mosley Wealth Management.
Our mission at Mosley Wealth Management is to help people make sure they never run out of income the rest of their life and they pay as little as they're legally required to pay in taxes.
Since 1995, Tom Mosley and his team have been creating comprehensive, custom financial plans to help you preserve what you've earned and pursue what you've envisioned.
In retirement, a lot of people have built a great lump sum. We call that your lumber yard. But you need a blueprint to put that lumber yard into a plan that you can build a retirement house to live in.
What's on your mind this week, Southern California? The stock market, taxes, inflation, income, Social Security, how to ease into the life of your dreams? Let's discover conservative financial strategies starting right now. This is your Right on the Money Radio Hour with Tom Mosley.
And a very happy weekend to you. You are listening to Right on the Money with Tom Mosley. He is the founder and president of Mosley Wealth Management based right here in Southern California. And I'm your host, Kristen Oakley. Each week, Tom and I are committed to providing you with retirement planning solutions. We've got a great show for you today. We're going to start off by talking about the biggest financial shift of our lifetime, and most importantly, what that means for you. Tom, my friend, always a joy to be here with you. How are you this week?
I'm doing great as always. I always look forward to this hour, and I always look forward to being with you, Kristen, as well as everybody who listens. You know, Kristen, so many people are beginning to come in and say, you know, I've been listening to Tom for 2 years. Lady recently came in. We had 4 different people came to an event we had in Placentia a few weeks ago, and they all came in and they said, we've been listening to the radio, and they got into an argument as to how long, who had been listening the longest. You
That
know,
badge of honor, right?
Yeah, it was like, no, I've been listening longer than that, you know, because I remember I lived in a different house, you know, and so they were going out. But however long you've been listening to us, thank you for giving us the time. We always do our best to bring something to you that you say at the end, wow, that was worth my time to listen to. I found value and I learned something.
Yes, and we so appreciate all of you listening. Although I will say, Tom, I know people have said this to you too. They might have been listening for a long time, and when they finally do come in and they finally meet with one of your all-star advisors and they get that complimentary retirement blueprint, what usually is the response that they say then?
I should have done this a long time ago.
Uh-huh.
Yep, exactly.
So again, we appreciate you listening, but again, what is it? Information without action is just inspiration. And we want you to take action. And this show is dedicated to helping you be able to ease into the life of your dreams, have the retirement that you've envisioned for yourself. That's why we give multiple opportunities for you to connect with the team of Mosley Wealth Management, because we want you to be able to take this knowledge and put it into action for yourself. So, Tom, I know we're going to be talking today about the biggest financial shift of our lifetime and what it means for our listeners. And really what we're talking about is something that took place 40 years ago. So why don't you dive in and talk about this important shift and really what now our listeners need to do about it?
Well, 40, 50, 60 years ago, most of the people who were adults in America were covered by a pension. The companies gave a pension, which is called a defined benefit plan. And it was it was guaranteed lifetime income. It was employer funded. That means the company paid for it. It was based on, number one, the salary that you had earned and what level you had earned through the years, the number of years you'd been there as a service. And as I like to say in some of the seminars that I teach all over Southern California, you know, when you turn 65, 50, 60 years ago, they gave you a pension, a party, and a gold watch.
Yep.
And it was so common for people to have pensions. 63% of all adults were covered by pensions. And why did they do that? It was a great way to retain workers.
Yes, to attract and retain, right?
Yeah, well, not everybody was covered by the unions, and the unions were the ones who came in and had pensions to start with. Most unions still have some type of pension, and so to retain workers, if you didn't want to go and become a union company, you a lot of times just provided that pension. So the person who we talking about the landscape 50 years ago, 40 years ago, they had the pension, they had Social Security, and nobody was talking about it maybe not being able to pay out fully like they are now. And
Mhm.
it really made for a secure retirement. And here's the key: it had guaranteed lifetime income, whether it was the Social Security or whether it was the pension. It had guaranteed lifetime income. It was really cool.
Yep, and it provided that stability, and there was no investment risk for the employees. Their retirement income was predetermined. Well, my how times have changed. So I think a lot of folks listening understand what has happened, but why don't we just kind of spell out this shift? Why did our country move away from pensions?
Well, the company would take that money that they were setting aside, and they basically bought in as you worked for them, they bought in to an annuity that was most of the time, like 95% of the pensions that are out there are funded by an insurance company into an annuity. That's the only thing in the world, product in the world, that will pay you guaranteed lifetime income. And so they about 5% of the companies were self-funded in that they put the money in themselves. And so they had that annuity to give you when you retired, and it was
Mhm.
guaranteed lifetime income. But here's what caused the shift: people started living longer. All
Yes,
right.
much longer.
And yeah, the average age of an American male in 1935, when Social Security first started, and that's the reason that's such a popular number, is 61 years and 8 months. I mean, if you lived to 62 to get Social Security, you were living on borrowed time. So people started living longer. With the Depression and other ups and downs, there was more market volatility, and it made it harder for those companies and the insurance companies to guarantee the payments. And
Mhm.
then they added pension rules in 1974. They added some ERISA. You might have heard that word somewhere, and it caused them to have to fund the pensions in a better way. That was a good thing, but
Mhm.
some of them were a little shaky in the way they were funded. So it made them more stable, but it made those companies think about not doing it. And then voila, in 1978, they came out with the 401k. And over a period of time, that gave companies an alternative to putting that money away. They said instead of that defined benefit that came in the form of an annuity in the pension, let's do a defined contribution, and we'll contribute. And we'll actually put money into that defined contribution 401k or 403b if you're in a nonprofit. So those began to spring up. So for a while there, Kristen, people had the pension
Mhm.
and the 401k
Yep.
and the Social Security. So it was
Yes.
like retirement Shangri-La. I mean, it was really great. But then over a period of time, the companies began to do two things. They began to drop the pensions, and they began to, because they were so expensive anymore and they were
Mhm.
providing a contribution to the 401k, but they also began to reduce what they were contributing as a match to the 401k. So it
Right.
was like the perfect bad storm for
Mhm.
retirement, because at the same time, Social Security is getting shaky,
Right.
pensions are going away, matches are going down in 401k. So a lot, and market volatility was causing that 401k to sometimes become a 201k,
Mhm.
when the market went down twice since the year 2000. The market has gone down right at a little bit over one time, a little bit under 50% the other time. So half of it has
Yep.
gone.
Right.
So that's what happened in the shift, and that's where we find ourselves today.
Yes. And it, I think back to how it used to be for people. And you said it perfectly. It was the perfect storm because not only now are some of these guaranteed income sources for the rest of your life diminishing and going away, now you're living longer than you ever have before. And oh, by the way, it's up to you to determine how to invest the money in your 401k. The companies aren't doing that for you. You have to figure that out. Oh, and then when it comes time to retire, guess what? You also have to be the one to figure out how to take the lump sum that you've accumulated in something like a 401k and turn it into income. And you say this on the show all the time, Tom. success in retirement. It's not about your lump sum, it's about your income. So, in one fell swoop, the burden of all these things got thrust onto the shoulders of us as employees. And a lot of people I think out there are feeling the weight of that. I mean, it's huge. There's so many decisions that have to be made. There's so much that you have to know that goes into doing this successfully. That is a huge weight to carry on your own.
Oh my goodness, Kristen, you're so negative.
I don't mean to be. It's just reality.
No, it is. It's reality. Now, if you're sitting out there and you're thinking, because I was listening to Kristen, you did a great job of overviewing that, okay? And it is negative. It is the kind of thing, oh my, I think I'll take my blanket and go crawl up on the
Right.
couch,
Yeah.
and put in a new rear end into my recliner and just cry about it. You know what I'm saying? Like, because that is the way you feel, because you feel
Mhm.
like everything is going against it. Look at it. You now have to self-fund your retirement because many employees are dropping matches altogether. It's based largely on what you contribute, because even the largest match I've ever seen is 10%, and I haven't seen one of those in a really, really
No, I
long
haven't
time.
either. If you can find one, let me know.
And if you're out there and you're saying, "Wow, I'm behind the 8 ball." Well, welcome to the club. Most people are starting too late, and the
Mhm.
market has big swings. I mean, points don't mean anything anymore. You still have to look at percentage because the markets are so high in their points anymore, but it's still 1, 2, 3% swings in some days. And then the good news is I don't have as much money, but I'm gonna live longer. You know what I'm saying?
Mhm,
And
mhm.
and here's the key when it comes to income. Most people are now beginning to realize, there was a great article in the Wall Street Journal back in December about how people realize that the most important thing in retirement is income. Second
Mhm.
thing, there was an article about 2 weeks later by the same author. One of the authors of the article was the same, and they switched out a little bit there, but they talked about people who had those pensions, who how happy they were. I'll tell you what
Mm.
we're going to do the rest of the show. Kristen, you and I are going to put on our positive hat when we come
Yes.
back,
Yep.
okay? We're going to talk about how you can build a retirement plan, and we're going to use a term that 𝗤𝗏, who's a famous person in our industry, has put together. We're going to show you how you can divide your lump sum into paychecks and playchecks, and you can have a happy retirement. You want to get the jump on people who are going to call in and want an appointment? Give us a call.
And that number to call is 888-930-5609. We know that this feels weighty. We know that a lot goes into it. You might be feeling overwhelmed and you might be feeling alone, but there's no need. The team of Mosley Wealth Management have helped thousands of people successfully navigate their retirements and building income plans for them, and they would love to do it for you as well. So again, that number to call to schedule your time to come in and receive your complimentary retirement blueprint, 888-930-5609. We'll be back with more right after this.
Social Security is easy, right? The question is, should I take it now or later? Well, there are dozens and dozens of ways to take Social Security if you're single, and even more if you're married. You could increase your nest egg by tens of thousands of dollars just by being informed, and unfortunately, the Social Security office is not allowed to give you comprehensive financial planning advice. Build your Social Security benefits into a retirement income plan with all of your assets. Get your own tailored, no-cost Social Security income strategy with Tom Mosley of Mosley Wealth Management. 888-930-5609.
Welcome back, Southern California. You're listening to Right on the Money with Tom Mosley. I'm your host, Kristen Oakley. We're so glad you're joining us today. If you're just tuning in, wow, we had a heavy first segment, didn't we, Tom?
Oh yeah. Let's climb out of the hole, okay?
Right? Yes. Because we were talking and really summarizing the reality of how folks now, the retirement burden has been placed on our shoulders. Pensions are often a thing of the past for most people. We know that Social Security isn't cutting it when it comes to having enough money to last you throughout the rest of your life. But the good news is, and this is why we want to provide solutions on this show, we're going to be talking today about how you can take the lump sum of money you've accumulated for your retirement and structure it in two ways. Now, you mentioned this phrase before the break, Tom, and it's a phrase that I know I'm excited for you to share your personal connection to it. But the popular phrase is having your paychecks and your playchecks, which was originally coined by Tom Hegna, who is an economist, an author, and a retirement income expert, and happens to be one of your friends. And so we're going to talk about what that phrase means. We're going to break it down to how to achieve both financial stability and freedom in retirement. We want to talk about the paycheck portion, but we also want you to have playchecks so that you can have fun in retirement. So, Tom, I know that this concept and this phrase might be a little self explanatory. It's very simple, but it's also really powerful. So, can you break it down and explain it for our listeners?
Right. Paychecks is exactly uh what it says. You pay yourself enough to maintain your essential income. Now, what do I mean by essential income? If you've got a house payment, bingo, you got to make it.
Yep.
Very few people that I've ever run into want to live under a bridge. Okay. If you've got a car, you've got to make that payment. If you've got insurance, you've got to make that payment. If
Food.
you've got food, you got to have food. You got to
Yep.
have clothes,
Yep.
and you think, well, it's not gonna be that much for clothes. Maybe not, but people can tell. So you need to spend more money on clothes many times. Okay. So what does it really take for your essential income? You have to have it. That's the first part. And what we try to do in every case that we possibly can is say, where is your paycheck coming for your guaranteed income that covers those basic living expenses? That and you got to think about that as the backbone of your retirement plan, as an income flow. Now,
Mm-hmm.
here's what's missing from the shift of 50 years, okay? If you really look at it, people had Social Security without questions about it.
Mm-hmm.
They had 50 years ago, many of them, most of them had a pension, and they had that income flowing in from that pension. Pension, Social Security, maybe two Social Securities if both worked outside the home. So that income paycheck for the essentials, and I still run into people, Kristen, when they've got Social Security, maybe two if they're married. If they've got a pension, actually have some that have two pensions. Man,
Mm-hmm.
those people have it made. They've got that paycheck, first part of it, taken care of.
Right.
And if you do, then you can convert everything you've got left into your playcheck. You say, what's the
Mm-hmm.
playcheck? Exactly what it sounds. Go have fun.
Yes.
You worked for it. You've earned it. One of my advisors and I were sitting with a great couple in Encino recently, and they have done really, really well. I mean,
Mm.
they've got a bunch of zeros and a four in front of six zeros in what they've saved just about. And they didn't have massive amounts of income or a great inheritance or got lucky over here or lucky over there, and they were just savers, okay?
Mm.
And
Mhm.
they had put the money away, and I began to talk to them about their paycheck, and I laid something out for them, and I said, you're going to have trouble shifting over and starting to spend money to have fun,
Mm.
because a lot of people find it really hard in retirement, especially those first few years, to travel,
Mhm.
to do their hobbies, whether it's golf or something else that you like to do. But we've talked before about something else that Tom Hegna has talked about, and that is the three stages of retirement.
Mhm.
You're in your go-go stage, and that's when you need to go. You need to enjoy it because you're healthier
Yep.
than you'll probably ever be.
Yep.
I mean Kristen, I know your parents, and I've spoken with your parents before. You know what I'm talking about because they've
Yes.
gone through some of these stages.
Yep.
There's the go-go stage, there's the slow-go stage, and there's the no-go stage, where
Mhm.
you go, you slow, and then you don't go,
Right.
okay?
Yep.
So that paycheck doesn't do you any good if you're fearful in your 60s about not having enough money to last, and you keep it all and you just wait and don't go enjoy it. So when we talk about Paychecks. We're talking about your basic income needs, not scarcity, not squeaking by, but what you really need to enjoy your life. But then your playchecks are that travel, hobbies, gifts, those other things that you want to make a life out of your retirement.
Yes. And I think, so many folks don't spend the money during their go go years because they're looking at potentially living another 20, 30, 40 years in retirement. And in the absence of having a solid income plan in place, there is that fear of, well, what if I go ahead and spend this money and then I don't have enough to last me throughout the rest of my life? And so that's where that fear is coming from. And we want to mitigate that fear. So again, if you would like to connect with the team of Moseley Wealth Management and have your own income plan built for you as part of your complimentary retirement blueprint, all you need to do is call 888-930-5609. Tom, why, in your opinion, is it so critical to emphasize a difference between these two types of income? Because I think a lot of folks often think of, I think of that example you shared, right? Let's say someone has $4 million saved up for their retirement and they have this lump sum. Why does someone, no matter how much they have, need to differentiate between paychecks and playchecks?
Well, okay, let's talk about some of the phrases that I use. You've brought it up on the show already. I've talked about it's not your lump sum, it's your income that's important. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Your lump sum is just that total that's in your 401k, that's in your IRA, that's in it's just a big lump sum. And so many people have the big box approach, and that is put it in the market. You're going to earn an average of 6% a year. You're going to have 3% inflation. It's called the Monte Carlo model. And it works great if you're not thoughtful of your 80s and 90s. It
Mm-hmm.
works great in your 60s because you got this huge lump sum.
Yep.
But then you go to it each year and you get a certain, if it's a lumber yard, I've also called it a lumber yard versus really putting it together in a blueprint. That's another analogy. And so you just get a few pieces of lumber when you're 65, some when you're 66, you're bebopping along and everything is great. But then when you turn 73, 74, 75, you go to that lumber yard to get your annual allotment and you look at that lumber yard and you do a double take and you
Mm-hmm.
say, wow, that lumber yard is not nearly as big as it used to be.
Right.
Okay. I mean, it's and I'm healthy
Mm-hmm.
and I'm still going and I'm still should I stop spending? Should I stop going? Because I don't know if I'm gonna run out of my lump sum. I don't know if I'm gonna run out of my lumber yard because you've never put a blueprint together to address basically the paychecks and the playchecks.
Right.
Now let's rewind that thing. If you work with a real financial planner rather than a company that calls themselves something investments, but you work with a real wealth manager or a financial planner, they're going to address your lifetime income. And what do you have? Well, some of you have Social Security. Some of you, about 1 out of 6 of you, still have pensions. And some of you see the value of annuities. Here's what all three of those in theory are going to do, assuming Social Security is going to last, you're going to have a pension, and you have an annuity. It's going to pay you guaranteed income for as long as you live. And if you get the pensions and the annuities the right way, as long as a surviving spouse will live if you're married, your lump sum is not going to do that. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Your lump sum, when you get that down to zero, you're out of money. You're out of luck.
Yep.
You're on the street. I mean, you're going into reverse mortgages, borrowing money, figuring out which child to move in with. I mean, that's your plan if you get to zero in your lump sum. But if you've got that guaranteed stream of income and it's enough from social pensions or your own private fixed indexed annuities that pay you that stream of income for the rest of your life. And here's the thing with a private annuity, even after you run out of your money, that
Mm-hmm.
annuity company is insuring that so that you will continue to get a payment for the rest of your life. Well, I never heard that. You mean I've got zero money left in there and I'm still getting a check? Yes. for the rest of your life. And that's what Tom Hegna's talking about when he talks about securing your paycheck. He calls it income for life. And the
Mm.
only thing that'll do that would be social, pensions, and a fixed indexed annuity that will pay you for as long as you live. Hey, you want to find out more about them? It's part of the plan that we bill for some of our people, not everybody, but for some of our people. And you need to check them out so that you can rest assured you're never going to run out of income the rest of your life.
That's exactly why we would love for you to connect with the team of Mosley Wealth Management. If you want help figuring out how much income you're going to need in retirement, or if you can go ahead and retire, how to make sure that you're going to structure your paychecks and playchecks effectively, this is why you need to pick up the phone and call to schedule your time to come in and receive your very own complimentary personalized retirement blueprint. That number to call is 888-930-5609. Don't call in and ask us to send one to you because we can't. Every advisor is going to start with a blank sheet of paper and build one specifically for you and your situation. But you've got to pick up the phone and call. So that's 888-930-5609. We'll be back with more right after this.
Is having $1 million enough to retire? For years, many have considered this to be the goal amount to have for retirement savings, $1 million. But that's the $1 million question. Is that enough for today's modern retiree? Are you sure you've saved enough for a 25 or 30-year retirement? Are you concerned about covering large expenses, including taxes and long-term care? If so, you're not alone. But there is a solution. With a comprehensive financial plan, you can take control of your finances to help you achieve your long-term goals. At Mosley Wealth Management, let us help you work towards peace of mind by implementing a complete retirement strategy. Call Tom Mosley and the team of Mosley Wealth Management right away to receive your complimentary, comprehensive written financial plan. 888-930-5609. That's 888-930-5609.
Will you outlive your money? It's a scary thought, but it's a real concern for many people. We believe that with proper planning, you can work towards making your money last as long as you do. Don't wait until it's too late to start thinking about your financial future. Call Tom Mosley and the team at Mosley Wealth Management today to learn how we can help you create a retirement plan that can potentially help you obtain peace of mind and security for years to come. Don't let the fear of running out of money in retirement keep you up at night. Take control of your financial future today by calling 888-930-5609. Welcome back, Southern California. You're listening to Right on the Money with Tom Mosley. He is the founder and president of Mosley Wealth Management, and I'm your host, Kristen Oakley. Today, we are having a very fun conversation about structuring your retirement income, making sure you have enough not only to cover your paychecks, but also, and importantly, to cover your playchecks. And we're going to dive more deeply into both of those different streams of income. But Tom, why don't we just remind folks why it's so important to differentiate between these two types?
There's one you have to have, and there's one you'd like to have. I'll say it that way. I
Mm-hmm.
mean, you've got to have a car most of the time in Southern California, but you don't have to have a Ferrari, okay? And you don't have to have that extra one. So you've got to have those basic living expenses. Now, here's what we do. If the foundation of a retirement blueprint, and it is income. All
Mm-hmm.
right. If that's the foundation, my dad used to pastor churches, and in the course of growing up, there were several churches that we built a new church building, and they always put in a cornerstone. And that cornerstone, symbolic from Jesus being the cornerstone of the church, that cornerstone was on in one side of the front of the building, and it had a little mark there as to when, it was just foundational. That
Mm-hmm.
was the cornerstone. So if the foundation of your retirement plan is income, the cornerstone is your budget. What are
Mm.
you spending? Because even if you've got a lump sum and you're just leaving it in that Monte Carlo model, I'm amazed at how many people, and to show you how ill prepared they are by just using the Monte Carlo simulation model, where you've got a
Mm-hmm.
percentage chance that it's going to work out, they still don't know how much they're spending every single month. You need to know what those essentials are. And you need to know how to break those down. In fact, we've say often on this show, if you'll email us info at Mosley Wealth Management, MOSLEY wealthmanagement.com, we'll send you a one-page budget worksheet. Now, it's got a lot of lines on that page, don't get me wrong, but it will go through all of the things that you need to look at, and it breaks them down into essentials and non-essentials. Now, your essentials absolutely have to go in that paycheck side,
Mhm.
okay? That's your rent, mortgage, the insurance on your house, the upkeep on your house, the utilities, healthcare, food, those kind of things. Those are the essentials. And then, as we've already said on the show, the non-essentials then go over into the paycheck. But those essentials need to go into that budget. And there's some space on there for you to also add things for your dreams,
Mm.
things for your goals, things for your
Mhm.
bucket list, things for your travel, things for what you want to give your children, and those kind of things. And it's so important that you need to have those things laid out, and you can tell easily between the things that are essential and the things that are not. The things that are essential go into paycheck. The things that are non-essential can go into the paycheck.
Yes. And that's again why it needs to be differentiated. It's not just about having a lump sum saved up and hoping that you will have enough money to last you throughout the rest of your life. The thing is, there's ways to structure whatever you've accumulated into these different buckets of income, your paycheck bucket and your playcheck bucket. So, again, if you need help figuring out how much money you need to live off of each and every month in retirement, we invite you to send an email to info at mosleywealthmanagement.com. Again, that's info at MOSLEY wealthmanagement.com. And as Tom mentioned, the team will gladly connect you with that special budget worksheet. Well, Tom, let's start because we need to talk about both the paycheck bucket and the playcheck bucket of how you structure these for your clients. So, for the folks that you work with, how do you typically go about structuring the paycheck bucket? What sources of guaranteed income are going in to make that paycheck bucket solid?
Well, let me back up just one little step before that and say that if you're sitting there and you're like I've got a 3-year-old grandbaby and a 7-year-old grandbaby. She just turned 8, but even when they come over, sometime they have their room at our house. Can you believe that? And all the toys sometimes just get strewn all over the place. And right before they start to leave, some adult with some, power and
Authority.
ability, authority. Not me. I'm the one
Oh,
that,
you're the fun one. I see.
I'm I'm the degenerating one that helps them become degenerates, but somebody goes up there and says, "Okay, girls, we need to put the toys away." And if that's
Mhm.
all we ever said, then I think they would sit there and look at us because it's so massive most of the time. The floor is just completely full. But
Mhm.
if we'll say, "Coco, pick that up and put that in there. Marin, pick those things up and put them in the box," then they begin to get a picture of it once somebody's there to lead them. A lot of times we give people that worksheet
Mhm.
and they come in and the worksheet is still blank, and it's not always how much income you have, because they'll come in and they'll say, "We've never had a budget. We don't know
Mhm.
how to start one. Can you help us? Here's our checkbook," which is a
Mhm.
good place to start. But
Mhm.
what I find, Kristen, amazingly, sometimes the people with the larger amounts of income and the larger amounts of lump sum are the people who have the smaller exercise time with a budget, because they've
Mhm.
never had to budget. They've
Right.
always made more money than they needed,
Yep.
and they've saved money. And so they've never had to really stop and look at what they were spending. It's not always the case,
Mhm.
but many times we have to stop, look at that checkbook, and help them begin to think through and ask them questions and fill in line by line as we help them build that budget. Now, once we have a target, to your point, how do we begin to structure how much income they need? Well, number one, we start with Social Security and
Mhm.
we say, okay, If it's a single person we're dealing with, they have one Social Security. If it's a married couple, they likely have two, not always, but they likely have two Social Securities. So we find out what is that guaranteed source of income, Social Security. What are you going to get at the different ages? And if it's a married couple, what is the spouse going to get at the different ages? That's one great place to start.
Mm-hmm.
Number 2, is there a pension? And, sometimes people come in, "Well, yeah, I got this little pension, companies used to have them. It's only $1,200 a month." And I have this standard joke, you'll hear it if I'm the one that meets with you. "Oh, well, that's good. That'll help you fill up your car with gas one time, but it's
Mm-hmm.
1,200 a month." But no matter what it is, I remember my dad was a pastor and he was in an organization for a few years, and they paid into his pension. And I remember when he was 65, he was shocked that he was going to get almost $500 a month from that little pension. And he'd only worked there like 4 or 5 years within that organization.
Mm-hmm.
So find out all those pensions, run those down. Every penny counts. And that's where, if there's still a gap, you say, "Well, we just have Social Security." Recently, we had a couple that came in, they had $1.6 million dollars,
Mm-hmm.
and they had two socials and a small pension.
Okay.
And so we added that together. We compared that to the budget that we had put together with them, and they were short enough that they needed, and they saw the value in taking from their $1.6 million dollars. This is real numbers here, okay? They saw the value of taking 400,000 and placing that in a fixed indexed annuity.
Mm-hmm.
In that fixed indexed annuity, it will start kicking out to them a guaranteed income for as long as either one of them lives. Also, if either one of them hits 2 of the 6 activities of daily living, it'll kick up to double the payout for up to 5 years. So it's got some benefits.
Mm-hmm.
It gave them a bonus when they came over, and it's got advanced crediting to it. There are a lot of good things that are in these fixed indexed annuities, and 400,000 of their 1.6 million guaranteed them enough income. Listen to this, with their two socials, small pension, and that $400,000 annuity, they've got more than enough income for the rest of their life. In fact, they're not going to have to turn the annuity on for 3 years. And as inflation catches up, then that annuity is again going to give them more money than they need. What does that leave? That's their paycheck. Social, pension, and annuity. All
Mm-hmm.
right, that's their paycheck. What does that leave them? That leaves them $1.2 million in their paycheck. You know why they were so happy about that?
Why?
Their current advisor was telling them they couldn't go buy a fifth wheel. And
Mm.
a fifth, that trailer, and he had the truck already, and they were
Mm-hmm.
going to buy that fifth wheeler. But that their current advisor was telling them they couldn't go spend that $72,000 on that fifth wheel. But they went and spent it out of that 1.2 million that was their paycheck. And so that's the way you work a paycheck that's guaranteed for the essentials for life,
Mm-hmm.
and the paycheck that's guaranteed for the fun time of life, to go have your plan. Don't leave it in a lump sum. That is a hope strategy. Hope is a good thing. Don't get me wrong. And we need to keep hope alive,
Yes.
okay?
Yep.
But you'd keep hope alive by having a plan. And that
Yes.
plan should involve a paycheck side and a playcheck side.
The difference is you don't want a strategy of hope, because a strategy of hope is not a plan. The plan is what gives you the hope and the confidence to ensure that you know you have enough money to cover both your paychecks and your playchecks that you can't outlive. So if that is something you're needing help putting all that together for yourself, this is what the team of Mosley Wealth Management does day in and day out for folks, and they would love to be able to help you as well. But you have to pick up the phone and call to schedule your time to receive your very own complimentary retirement blueprint. 888-930-5609. Again, that's 888-930-5609. Don't go anywhere. When we come back, I'm going to be asking Tom about how he strategically puts together someone's Playcheck bucket. If you want to make sure that you can have the kind of fun you're looking forward to having in your retirement, you're not going to want to miss it. So stay with us.
For your own no-cost retirement blueprint, call Tom Mosley of Mosley Wealth Management, 888-930-5609. That's 888-930-5609.
Do you know how you'll generate income from your investments along with your Social Security in retirement? An income plan can help you work towards creating a steady stream of income to support you throughout your retirement years. Take control today and start income planning for your retirement. Call the team at Mosley Wealth Management so we can help you design a complimentary written income plan to help you live the retirement you've always wanted. Call 888-930-5609. That's 888-930-5609. Welcome back, Southern California. You're listening to Right on the Money with Tom Mosley. I'm your host, Kristen Oakley. And before we dive back into this conversation around paychecks and playchecks and securing your retirement income, Tom, I know it's always important for us to be able to share with our radio listeners a couple things. One, where they can also connect with us through the TV show, and two, where they can actually come and meet with you and different members of the team from Mosley Wealth Management at your live events throughout Southern California. So why don't you touch on both of those things?
Kristen, it is my pleasure to share the radio show with you, but we also share a television show that's on Channel 9, and it's in LA at noon on Saturdays, and it's at 1 o'clock on Sundays on Channel 9 TV. Down in San Diego, we're all over the place during the basketball season because the ABC channel down there moves us, sometimes on Saturday, sometimes on Sunday. So here's what you look for when it comes to the TV show. Look for Right on the Money. And if you'll just look for a show that says Right on the Money, that's us. And we'd be glad for you to watch us. And
You can
you can
actually see what we look like, right?
well, yeah, you can. Hopefully, the camera won't be on me a lot. It'll be on you a lot, Kristen, because it'll be much more impressive. But no, and here's a way you can get to know all of our advisors. You can come to one of our events because we are going to have this year approximately somewhere between 150 and 200 events all over Southern California. We've already started. Recently, I was in Woodland Hills. I was in Chatsworth. I was in Ontario, Fontana, all points in between, Temple City. We had a tax class there, Anaheim, Villa Park, all the way down, and just keep following all the way down. We're down in San Diego. We're, at Scripps Ranch, at Poway, just all over the place, Carmel Valley Ranch. And what do we teach on those? We teach a 1 hour or thereabout course on Social Security. That's the big
Mhm.
thing because it's 41% of the average American's income. We teach a 1 hour tax class that just goes over how to protect yourself from tax. We believe that you should pay as little as you're legally required to pay in income tax. And
Mhm.
we do everything we can to make sure we can help you do what's legal, but save as much on taxes as you can. And then we have a 3 hour class that we put together the whole spectrum of the retirement blueprint. We go through income, which includes Social Security and pensions. We go through inflation. We go through investments. We go through taxes. We go through healthcare, and we go through legacy and how to leave it the right way. It's a great class, and you get a booklet in you get a manual or a booklet or a folder in every single one of those. So we need to know you're coming. But that booklet for the retirement masterclass it's really a master class. It's got about 125 pages of just great information on retirement. We don't cover everything page by page so much, but we will do our best to make sure you find value in the time when you come and you listen to us. And I say I don't teach them all. I teach most of them, but I don't teach them all. We've got a strong army, Kristen, of
Yes, you
8
do.
advisors, and
Mhm.
they're all fiduciaries. Several of them are CFPs and chartered financial consultants, and my heart just just I mean, it is just so overwhelmed when I think about the people that I feel like God's brought together, and people of
Mhm.
integrity, people who love helping people. And yes, we are in it to earn money for ourselves, but we're in it to make sure that nobody ever runs out of sufficient income the rest of their life, and they pay as little as they're legally required to pay in taxes. So I'd love for you to come to some of our events. I think it would benefit you, and they're free. So if you come and don't like it, I'll give you your money back. But let's enjoy this. Come meet us when you do. Don't just come in and not come see us. Sometimes we have 40 or 50 at those events, but stay up there. Come up there and meet us after it's over and say, "Hey, I just wanted to tell you, we hear you on the radio, we watch you on television."
Wonderful. If you want to find out where these events are going to be held close and convenient for you, we invite you to visit the website. That's mosleywealthmanagement.com. MOSLEY wealthmanagement.com. You can click on the events tab. You can see the upcoming events. And as Tom said, they're completely free to you, but we do ask that you go ahead and register in advance to make sure that there are plenty of materials and seats ready and waiting for you. And, Tom, something that you said that I think is important to point out. Yes, this is how you all make your living. But what enables you to do really well is when your clients are doing really well, right? There's no conflict of interest here. It's not about pushing products or things that are not in someone's best interest. As fiduciaries, you have that legal and ethical obligation to always serve your clients' best interests and to give the advice that is, in fact, in their best interest. And I think that's important to highlight that because that really does set you and the team apart.
Many times in the conference room, people will just point blank ask me when I present something, what do you make off of that? And I have to look it up,
Hmm.
because I'm not interested in putting something out like a broker can put out something that they make the most out of, even if it's not the best product or the best investment for the client. As
Hmm.
fiduciaries, we act in your best interest. It's one book that I read on it one time says it's same side of the table selling. Now,
Hmm.
it's not like we're on opposite sides of the table trying to negotiate to a deal. We're on the same side of the table trying to put the best plan possible for you. I think you touched on it, but we start with a blank piece of paper with every single person. We start with an empty form that we feel go through, because people call in sometimes and they say, "Send me one of those retirement blueprints." And we cannot, because we don't know where you are. That'd be like saying, "Tell me how to get to your place." You
Hmm.
got to know where you're coming from, or it's just totally irrelevant what you're going to tell them if you don't know where they are. You can't tell somebody how to get somewhere unless you know exactly where they are.
Yep, so true. So again, we encourage you to reach out. You don't have to go this alone. If you want to go ahead and get on the calendar to have your customized complimentary retirement blueprint built for you, that number to call is 888-930-5609. Well, Tom, we promised we would spend some time talking about the Playcheck bucket. So once we have the Paycheck bucket and that foundation for someone's guaranteed income in retirement secure, now it's time to talk about the additional income that isn't necessarily tied to someone's daily expenses, but it's that income that can fund your travel, your hobbies, and the dreams you have for your retirement. So, how do you go about structuring a play check with your clients?
Well, if you've got the essentials taken care of, these are non-essentials, so you can do what you want. Let me give you a list, and this is not written down in my notes. This is off the top of my head, okay?
Okay.
Recently, I had a couple came in. They have 7 grandchildren, and they started a small fund for each of their 7 grandchildren. That all came out of their paycheck.
Mm,
And this couple, they didn't do some of the exotic things that other people do, but they were so thrilled to be able to do that and to have
cool.
those accounts set up for their grandkids. I had another couple just came in, and they were telling me about their 17-day trip where they took a safari in Africa and went
Mm,
down to South Africa and Cape Town, and just really had a great 17-day trip of a lifetime. Had a couple tell me that they were buying tickets for a 102-day excursion. And what was crazy is it was going starting in New York, and
Mhm.
it was going through the Panama Canal, assuming we still control it, and assuming through the Panama Canal all the way around the world back to London. And I asked him, I
Wow.
said, why didn't they just spend 6 more days, 7 more days and end up in New York? And they said, we don't know. We don't have any idea. But it was a 102-day trip they had just bought. It all came out of their
Wow.
paycheck. I
Mm.
told you already about this couple that bought a $72,000, firsthand. It was a very nice looking because they showed me pictures, fifth wheel. That
Mhm.
all came out of the Playcheck. But you know what else it came out of?
What?
It came out of a contentment, of
Mm.
an assurance, of a confidence that they had not just an investment lump sum,
Mhm.
but they had a blueprint for retirement. They had a plan, and inside that plan, their paycheck was taken care of. All right.
Mhm.
They knew that they had guaranteed income sufficiently for the rest of their life. And they knew that it would never run out, even if they ran out of money that they had put into there. The social, the pension, the annuity that they placed in there, that was going to last forever. That all is their paycheck. The rest of it is what you want to do. Now, we talk about starting with a blank piece of paper when we build a blueprint.
Mhm.
We start with a blank piece of paper when we help you build a bucket list as well. And this is
Mm.
not pie in the sky, hope you can do that. You may have never realized you could be to this point. But if you've got your paycheck taken care of, you can use your paycheck. And I encourage you and I tell you, you better do that during your go-go years, because you never know when you're going to go to the doctor, you're going to get that report, and you're going to immediately have moved from the go-go years to the slow go, or even very quickly to the no-go years. So get the bucket list. That's what you use your paycheck. And I want to just encourage one thing. You love your kids. I love all 5 of my kids. But the best thing I ever did for my kids was teach them how to have good jobs. You
Mm.
don't have to give all of your money away to your children. Okay, you can if you want, if that's what you want to do. And this couple that gave to their children, they didn't give all their money to their grandchildren, but go enjoy the life you've created in retirement. That's what we
Yes.
encourage people to do.
And, as you were talking, Tom, it just kind of helped me think about how to sum up everything we've talked about today. The paychecks, that's your financial foundation for peace of mind in retirement. Your playchecks, which are equally as important, are your ticket to enjoying your life and retirement. And it's so important to start planning your income strategy for your retirement. And we know that you might need help doing that. So we encourage you to reach out. It starts by you picking up the phone and calling this number to schedule your time to come in and sit down with one of the all-star advisors from 𝗏𝗟 Wealth Management and have them build a personalized retirement blueprint for you. That number to call is 888-930-5609. Well, that's all the time we have for this weekend. Thank you again for joining us. Be safe, be happy, be blessed, and we look forward to being back with you next time here on Right on the Money with Tom Mosley.
Tom Mosley and the team have helped thousands of folks like you in Southern California plan for their retirement. Now make the call yourself. 888-930-5609. That's 888-930-5609. Investment advisory services offered by duly registered individuals through Mosley Wealth Management Incorporated. Mosley Wealth Management and Mosley Insurance and Financial Services are affiliated companies by common ownership license number OB61811. Investing involves risk, including the potential loss of principal. Any references to protection, safety, or lifetime income generally refers to fixed insurance products, never securities or investments. Insurance guarantees are backed by the financial strength, claims paying ability of the issuing carrier. This content is intended for informational and educational purposes only. It is not intended to be used as the sole basis for financial decisions, nor should it be construed as advice designed to meet the needs of an individual situation. All hypothetical examples are provided for illustrative purposes only. They do not represent real-life scenarios. Mosley Insurance and Financial Services, nor its agents or representatives, may give tax or legal advice. Individuals should consult with a qualified professional for guidance before making any investment decisions. Our firm is not affiliated with or endorsed by the U.S. government or any governmental agency. Some of the information provided may be from one or more third parties, which we believe to be reliable sources, but accuracy and completeness cannot be guaranteed by Mosley Insurance and Financial Services.